Welcome back to Do You Accept This, Rose? This is week 3.
Is it? Oh yeah, week
Yeah, it's
3.
week 3.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was week 4.
We have to start off with some sad news that Claire and Dale have split.
Oh yes, breaking news.
Breaking news.
We're shocked.
I recently, right before you got here actually.
I sent you something.
Did you send something to me?
Yeah, on Instagram.
Oh, I didn't even see it. Was it about how he didn't tell her that he was going to put out a statement?
Oh no.
Oh, so he put out a statement first and was like, this is a mutual thing. We both, like, almost as if they wrote it together. And then she announced today, she was like, that was the first time I heard about our mutual statement.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And
I did
I'm
see
upset.
that. I did see that. I sent you something that he had been cheating on her with another girl, and they named the girl in the article. It's some real estate agent in New York.
Oh, so they have names.
Yeah.
See, like, Claire, were you really stupid for, like, choosing him after, like, 9 days? Yes, but
I feel
no
bad.
one deserves to be cheated on.
No.
That's so shady. I thought, if anything, she was the problem.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to even say that.
I mean, she could. I'm sure that she wasn't great. But
that you deserve to be cheated on.
Cheating,
No, not good.
That's nasty. So.
Yeah,
sorry.
no, that was really not surprising.
No.
It was a matter of like when, not if. But
yeah, I didn't think it would be this soon.
I didn't either. I mean, they literally were posting together like a week ago, but a lot of people like in their families like mutually unfollowed one another. People were kind of speculating about that. So at least our homies, Tasia and Zach, are going strong right now.
They're going so strong.
So I guess I also heard something too that like producers on the show, so the show is not like fake, but producers can like push contestants or not push the lead to like have dates with certain people. So like push them to have like the one-on-one with this person.
That's what I was wondering, because sometimes the person who's chosen for the one-on-one we haven't seen before, or like doesn't
so I guess it's like, I don't know if it's like final say by the producers that's you're going on the one-on-one with, but I know like it's heavily influenced. And also like with Claire, I guess like once she started they wanted to kick her off, so that's why when she kind of was leaning into the fact that she like liked Dale a lot, they kind of were like, yes, you should go for it. Like, really go for it. Like, leave the show. Because I don't think they wanted her on the show anymore. So it was like, basically like, she thought she'd come up with that idea, but it really was like the producers telling her to do that.
When Chris Harrison met up with her, he was like, this cannot go on.
Yeah. I mean, I get the show, like, in certain aspects, it's like real, but then you start thinking about it and you're like, okay, so if the producers can like kind of shift who's going on dates, they can shift who the lead is seeing the most, and therefore like certain girls are never going to be given a chance.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like that kind of applies maybe to what happened this week with Matt.
Yeah.
And we can like get into like all of that later, but same thing I noticed with like Victoria. Like, everyone seems to hate her when she's the center of, like, the drama for the episode. But then, like, you'll see little snippets of her, like, holding hands with, like, Kit, who was, like, her enemy in the first one, or, like, laughing with a bunch of them. And they seem to like her. So
I think it's, like, they like her until
she gets annoying.
Yeah.
But I'm, like, I mean, obviously, I'm sure that she's not as, like, she seems like she definitely is, like, an awful person. But she's definitely not as awful as the producers definitely make it seem. Because sometimes she'll be normal when, like, she's not the center of the scene.
I was listening to something, and I guess, like, people that know her say she does actually act like that in real life.
Oh, God, never mind.
And, like... Because I was listening to some sort of podcast, and the podcast was basically like, the girls were like, we don't think that's real. Like, we think that's acting. And then the one girl was like, no, like, I said that too. And then, like, people DM'd me and were like, no, I know her. She's actually like that. It was, like, multiple people.
Oh, my God. I was giving her the benefit of the doubt. Never mind.
Yeah, so not great.
Okay.
Okay, anyway, getting into, I guess, this week. So, like, peace out, Claire and Dale. But, so we left last week's episode off when Sarah, like, basically almost passed out at the rose ceremony. And a lot of people were wondering, like, is she passing out for fame? Like, why? And it's like, she already had a rose. So there's no way, like, she wasn't just fainting to get attention. Like, she already had a rose. So, like, people literally were like, she should have saved that for another rose ceremony. She should have saved the faint, because then she would have got the pity rose.
That's true.
But, like, so she passed out. I think it was Bree was the one that caught her.
Yes.
And then
Matt takes her outside.
Yep.
And is comforting her, which I thought was funny because he's doing it right in front of the glass double doors and all of the other women can see it happening. You can already tell that he is starting to prefer her. Like, she's the one that he's choosing right now.
Yeah. Which I guess, like, happens. It's kind of like, again, it's like Claire choosing Dale at first, you know?
Like, how could you not immediately probably have a favorite?
Exactly.
Which would be fine, but as we'll get into, he's really bad at, like, keeping it subtle.
Yeah.
That he prefers Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. So at the rose ceremony, why did you only rate, like, 5 people that got roses?
Because that's all the Vulture article said.
I was like, oh, these people go home. And I'm like, wait, no, they're still definitely there.
Oh, well, Marianne, the girl from last week, who was in the drama with Victoria, she did go home. The one that Victoria was like, she's
Was that her name? Marilyn.
Oh my god. Marianne.
I was like,
what is wrong with me?
I was like, that's 100% not her name. Okay, anyway. So
Marilyn went home
after all that drama, which I kind of was like, okay, Matt, like, that kind of shows who you're siding with. But I'm also like, is that the producers again?
Probably the producers.
But
because there's no way that he actually likes Victoria.
No.
But, so, people that you don't really know
go home. Then they go to the first group date. So this week, the structure is 2 group dates and 1 one-on-one date.
Everyone gets a date.
Yeah.
They were told.
So the first group date, it's a bunch of girls go on it. I'm not even going to list them.
You don't want to read their names?
Do you want me to? Rachel, okay. Bree, Lauren, Kit, Serena C, Victoria, Kayla, Anna, Callie, Katie.
Chris Harrison is like, we all need to learn how to, like, get out of our comfort zones and, like, be really comfortable with being uncomfortable. And they're all like, okay, that's weird. So then they walk into this room. It's like a nicer version of, like, the conference hall and looking down. And it's Ashley I, who was also in Tayshia's season, right? Wasn't she the one who was...
Yeah. Her and Jared showed.
So she's just getting recycled.
She's probably just, like, liking it, you know?
Yeah.
Her and Jared are, like, free vacation because they have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So, like...
And she's reading this erotica that was written by Chris Harrison. This is the first I've ever heard of this.
No, I knew about it because, like, this summer, I haven't read it.
Did you read it?
No, I haven't read it.
Should we read it?
Low-key, maybe. Put it on the list. But when they were doing, like, the Bachelor Greatest Seasons of All Time this summer, that book was sitting behind him. Like, when Chris Harrison was, like, announcing from his, like, office or whatever, like, the book was, like, presented behind him. So that's why I'm, like, that's how I knew about it.
Oh, my goodness.
So, yeah, so he has his own, like, erotica, and it's, like, I guess it's, like, really detailed. And I'm like, that's
so weird. And then, like, 2 weeks ago, he was like, I'm driving my son to college.
Yeah.
I'll be back. And everyone's like, oh, wholesome dad. And now they're reading his erotica.
Yeah, just sketchy. So moving past from that. So then so she's reading this, and then they're like, all right, now you guys all have to go write your own, like, erotica scenes about Matt. And then Matt's going to read something about you. So, like, at this point, I'm like, where is this going? Like, if I was in their position, I'd be like, help.
Yeah, I would. That would be the moment where I was like, dang, I guess I gotta go home.
Yeah, I'd be like, I
can't do it.
I don't want to do this. So then Matt reads his, which, like, honestly wasn't good.
No, and everyone was like, ooh, it's so hot. I was like, no.
I guess there's a lot of backlash, too, because people were kind of like, well, why did the girls have to go that detail if Matt wouldn't even go into that detail, you know?
Yeah, that's fair.
They were like, that's just kind of rude that he didn't, like, go crazy. But
and they had to read in front of all the other girls in the
yeah,
house,
so the
too.
other girls from the house were, like, in the audience.
Yeah. It's just
They
so
were like a
awkward.
live audience. Do you remember when they said that? They were like, and you're going to be reading it in front of a live audience. And I'm like, oh, are they bringing in extra people? And it was like literally the other girls. And I'm
Oh,
like,
the girls that I'm with every day?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Katie and Victoria were both, like, so vulgar. Like, every other word was, like, bleeped out.
I guess Victoria's, like, she read it again at the house. And, like, everyone was crying laughing. Like, they were just like, that's when they all really liked her. Because they're like, you're funny. Like, that's funny. So, yeah, Victoria went really hard. Like, I think all the girls, like, did a good job in, like, kind of embracing what they had to do.
The one that, like, killed me was Kit, Queen's Gambit girl.
Yeah.
Who, like, went, like, the poetic route. And was like, a cold breeze whispers through the window of the Pennsylvania air. I was like, what is going on? Is this like a Charles Dickens novel?
Would you expect anything else, though? Like, I wouldn't expect her to, like, go the other route.
She's not trying to be, like...
She's 21 years old.
Yeah.
Like...
Yeah. Oh, my God. That just made me so uncomfortable.
More power to them, I guess. Like, girl power. Do what you gotta do. Yeah, I mean... But also, like, I think it kind of, like, lost its, like, translation to the audience because everything was bleeped out. So, like, they would be like, blah, blah. They'd be, like, talking, then it'd be like, bleep, 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 bleep. And I'm like, okay, like, I'm sure it's great, but...
I'm just readjusting my microphone. Oh, this is when Sarah starts to, like, really get upset. It's kind of showing her being uncomfortable with all of this. Which also, I'm like, girl, it's funny. Just laugh. And she's like, I can't even...
Meanwhile, to note, Sarah's not on the date.
Oh, no, yeah. She's just one of the people watching. And she's like, I can't believe he has this relationship with other girls. And I'm like, he doesn't. They're laughing.
Yeah.
And she also said a comment along the lines of, like, I'm further with him than, like, the other girls.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Which at this point, yes, it's probably true that
You're the only one who had a date.
Yeah, exactly. Like, maybe Bree is at her level, you know? But Bree's not over here flaunting about it, but...
No. So then she goes home along with the other girls who weren't on the date. And he's supposed to continue the night with, like, just the girls who had to read the love scenes.
So they start to, like, chat. Everything's great. And then Sarah, again, starts to get in her head.
Back at the hotel.
Back at the hotel. So then Sarah's like, you know what? I'm going to go to the group date. I need reassurance. Mm-hmm. So she, like, shows up to the group date. She interrupts, why can I not think of her? Katie. She interrupts Katie and is like, hey, can I talk to Matt real quick? And Katie's kind of like, sure. So Katie goes back to the girls and they're like, who interrupted you? Like, everyone's here. And she was like, you won't believe it. It was Sarah. And this is kind of where people started to like Victoria, because Victoria was like, go get him back. Like, she's not on the date. You need to go, like, get your time with him. Like, you need to fight for it. Katie goes back, and Sarah's like, I just need, like, 2 more minutes. And I guess, like, people asked her, like, was it only 2 minutes? And she's like, I had no concept of time. Like, I don't know if it, but she was like, it was longer than 2 minutes. But Sarah, like, brings up to Matt that she's, like, doubting if she can do, like, it with all the other girls and everything.
And he is, like, convincing her that he really cares about her. They make out, like, when Katie is very clearly like, close to them. And then Sarah goes out to all the other girls and is like, I want you to hear it from me. Like, I was just here with Matt. And they're like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
And she was like, I was just insecure. And they're like, we all are.
Yeah.
And we're being respectful. So then, like, Sarah goes outside and is crying because she's like, I feel like all the girls hate me now. Katie goes out. Well, Victoria does, too.
Yeah.
And then Katie very, like, maturely confronts her and is just like, hey, like, I'm not, like, mad, but, like, that wasn't cool.
Yeah.
And, like, you need to, like, get a grip, basically.
Yeah.
And that was where, like, that ended. So, here's my thing. I feel like what she did was, like, selfish and, like, not fair.
Yeah.
But that happens, like, every season of The Bachelor, and it's not that big a deal.
I think it's... Whoa.
Whoa.
I I think it's probably because, like, she had just gotten a one-on-one time.
That's true.
So I think it's different because it's not just like, oh, it's a random girl. It's like this girl literally was the last date. Like, she was the most secure in her, like, relationship, and then, like, she just needs more time.
And there was the whole, like, fainting fiasco.
Yeah, I think it's just, like, she is being pinned as the villain because, like,
That's
yeah,
true.
when she fainted, it, like, caused other girls to, like, not know their fate for, like, another, like, 30 minutes or something like that, too. So I think people were just kind of, like, tensions were building in the house. Rachel gets the group date rose.
He just leaned in after she was talking for, like, a minute and kissed her. And remember, she was like, wow, you really just went for it.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I couldn't wait.
I mean, we still don't really know, like, anything about the girls yet, but...
Or Matt. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not learning anything
No,
about
I don't
him.
anything about him. I just know he's terrible in situations right now. But anyway, so the next day, it's Serena P's turn for a one-on-one date. And meanwhile, like, Sarah has stayed in her room, like, the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, Sarah's like, I'm not coming down. I'm not interacting with the girls. Like, they're being rude to me. And she also was, like, kind of second-guessing what she wanted to do.
Yeah. And she seemed, like, genuinely distraught. Like,
Yeah.
when it showed her in the room by herself, I don't think that she was, like, pretending anything.
No.
I feel like she just is a very dramatic person.
Yeah.
And it was being read the wrong way. Like, I did genuinely feel bad for her this whole episode. I thought I was going to be so annoyed, but I felt bad.
Yeah.
So, Matt shows up to pick up Serena, who's a little cutie. I
Yeah.
like her a lot.
Yeah.
And he's like, whoa, where's Sarah, though?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, she's upstairs. We haven't seen her all morning. And he's like, oh my god, hold on, Serena. And he, like, goes upstairs to find Sarah and, like, jumps in bed with her,
Yeah.
which I found so strange.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is a no for me. And then they hang out for, like, a while.
Probably, yeah. I'm assuming whenever, like, we think it's only, like, 5 minutes, it's definitely, like, at least a half hour.
Yeah.
And it keeps showing that, like, the other girls are just waiting.
And
Mostly
it's like,
Serena.
I'd be pissed if I was Serena, like, you're going on a one-on-one date and you know he's, like, thinking about this other girl more than you because he's respecting her time more than yours, you know?
Yeah, he's, like, hanging out in her little, like, living room suite that she
Yeah.
has and kissing her a lot. The
Yeah.
other girls don't know that, but, like, it's just so shady.
Well, they definitely, like, assume
Yeah, you can
that that's
assume.
happening.
So then, finally, he comes downstairs and is like, okay. Oh, but he was to Sarah. He's like, I'll keep coming up here and checking on you.
Yeah, like, you can stay in here all season. And I'm like, no, Matt.
Like,
I
come
get, like, he's
on.
trying to show, like, if she definitely was the one, it would make sense. But, like,
It's still so early. She could be literally a serial killer. You
Yeah.
don't know it yet. She's probably not, but she could be.
that's just wild.
And then he comes back down and it, like, keeps talking about, like, well, you know, listen, I would do that for any of you girls. Like, your time, like, my time is going to be spent, like, taking care of you guys. And then Victoria was like, okay, but your time right now is with Serena. So, like, pay attention to her.
Yeah.
And I was like, good job,
Yeah,
Victoria.
seriously.
So they leave for their date and they ride some horses.
Oh, right.
They have a picnic. And, like, some donkeys come up and, like, cuddle
That was
them.
kind of funny. They
That
were
was
trying to take,
funny.
like, pictures, and the donkeys kept coming up. And then at this point is when she's like, I'm falling in like with you.
Yes.
Which, like, I really liked because it's like, you're not, why would you say you're falling in love on the first date? Like, you're not there.
Yeah.
No one's there.
But so many other girls would be
Like, would
I love
say
you.
that. Yeah, I think it makes sense. I mean, this is really only the second time she's hung out with him, you know?
And she's only had one serious relationship before. He said that, like, he's never really had one. He gave, like, a very weird,
It, like,
vague
sketched me
backstory.
out. Yeah, he was like, no, like, looking back, I know that's not true love. But, like, I don't know. I honestly have no clue if he's been in love or been in a relationship. Like, I feel like it sounded like he was avoiding
He
questions.
really was.
So again, we still don't know a whole lot about him.
Yeah, but I really like Serena. I think that she just seems very, like, real and adorable.
But
and,
how
like,
young is she? She's young.
Oh, I
She's
should
like
have put the
22,
age.
I think.
It was, like, 22.
She's like 22, yeah.
But she, like, just kept talking. Like, I feel like there wasn't he seems very shy, and I feel like she brought his personality out.
Yeah.
Or if he wasn't going to speak, she just kept talking.
Yeah, exactly. So I liked her, and she gets the rose. I mean, nothing else really beyond that. There wasn't like juicy stuff happening on that one-on-one. No. It's not like she opened up about like deep parts of her past or anything like that, you know, so.
No, and he's not sharing anything
Yeah,
at all,
we don't know anything about him, so that's fine.
So then, while that's happening, the next date card arrives, right? Which we don't even hear at all this episode.
Yeah.
What the date card is, but right when they're about to read the date card, Sarah slips into the group.
Yeah.
Hey guys. And the girls are like, no, you can't just come in here like that. So they start like ripping into her. And I think it was a little too harsh, the things they were saying.
Yeah, they were like really going in on her life.
Yeah, and like Kit was like, I'm gonna make your life a living hell.
And I'm like,
in this house, I was like, guys, come on.
This is literally to fall in love with a guy. This isn't like Survivor. Like,
yeah, like
you know,
there's no girl code in this show.
You're already going against girl code by all dating the same guy,
yeah.
You know? Like, there's nothing.
I genuinely felt so bad. And then Katie, of all people.
This was the next morning. Katie goes up to her. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was the next day because it was like daylight outside, right?
Good call. Yep. Good call.
So the next day, Katie goes to talk to Sarah, and she was just like, hey, like, what's up? Like, what's going on? Like, I want to make sure you're good. And Sarah's like, I think I'm going to leave. Mm-hmm. And Katie's kind of like, well, you sure? She's like, I don't want you to leave if you don't want to. Because she was like, I don't want Matt thinking you're the one that got away. And I don't want, like, him, if he does choose me in the end of it, I don't want him to be thinking of you.
Yeah.
I don't want you to be, like, thinking of him, too. Like, if you're really content with this. Mm-hmm. And she was like, yeah, my dad also has ALS, so, like, that's why I feel like I should be hanging out with him instead. Like, he doesn't have too much longer to live. And that's when you hear Katie be like, well, who was it? Her dad had also passed away. So then she's kind of like, okay, I get where her emotions are coming from.
You should spend as much time with him as you can.
Yeah.
I also feel like, not so much for her, because I don't think she ever got nasty with Sarah. But I feel like there must have been, like, some, like, shame almost of, like, we're, like, bullying this girl, and none of us knew that, like,
yeah,
she has something deeper going on.
Or it's not even, like, Katie necessarily helped with the bullying, but, like, she definitely witnessed it happening.
Yes.
She was a bystander, and it's like, if you had known, you would have stood up, you know? But in that instance, Katie probably was like, I'm thinking it too, I'm just not saying it.
Yeah.
So then after her conversation with Sarah, she goes back to the girls and was basically like, we need to check ourselves. Like, we are here to find love. Like, we don't know other people's stories. Sarah's going home because she has something she needs to, like, attend to. But, like, we need to be nicer. We don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh, awesome.
Yeah. I'm like, you really went from me being like, I think you're weird.
Yeah, like, when was that switch? Because first episode, she was just, like, the weird, crazy girl who showed up. The second episode wasn't really relevant. Or I still thought she was crazy, because she started crying during one of the group dates, because she was like, I just worked so hard for this.
Oh,
like,
right, yeah.
The wedding dress one. And now, suddenly, she's, like, the voice of reason.
Yeah.
For Bachelor Nation.
Yeah, exactly. So then Sarah goes to Matt's place. Mm-hmm. And she ends up telling him, like, hey, I'm going to leave. And he was like, are you sure about it? And, like, you can tell, like, he definitely really liked her because he's like, I'm bummed that she's going home.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah, I need to go home, whatever. So that was kind of like nothing really crazy went down in that conversation.
She also said the other girls were really mean.
Oh, yeah.
So she did say that. Now you know he's going to
bring it up.
Go into that thing, like when he goes to see them next.
Granted, like, she never said like this specific person's being mean, so it's not like a target on. It's not like Victoria being like Marilyn's being really rude.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true.
It's like she's just being like they're all being rude, whatever. Yeah, that was this week, so we didn't even end up seeing the second group date. We literally didn't see like a whole lot of anything, to be honest.
This whole episode was like 2 days of just like Sarah's drama.
Yeah. Which it's like they made her look like a bad person, but I just think she was like going through it.
Yeah.
And I don't think that like she could have imagined her emotions were going to be that high until she was there. You know, like a lot of people are like, well, like you would have known you were going to be going through that. And it's like, I don't think you would until you're in that situation.
No, yeah, absolutely. Even the recap I read today, the person who wrote it was being so mean about Sarah. How can we, like, still be talking about this girl like she did something wrong? Where, like,
she just was figuring out her emotions as they came to her, you know?
Yeah, and I'm like, there literally was not a moment in this episode where she wasn't, like, not crying.
Yeah.
Like, she was, like, emotionally unwell.
Even when she left and she was in the car, she's like, I feel like I'm going to regret this.
Imagine if she comes back.
Oh my God, that would be wild. We do know, though, looking to next week's, we do know that there's 5 new girls that show up.
Like, why? It made sense when Tasia came.
I think it's just I think it's like a quarantine spin that they're doing. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't like it.
No, me either.
Like, I get you feel a certain, but I also like get that the girls that are there shouldn't feel an entitlement to Matt.
No. Same thing with like what happened with Claire.
Tasha. Yeah. I get that you shouldn't. I mean, and granted, like, Tasia ended up with Zach, who was there since the beginning, you know? I just feel like the new girls are going to add more drama, which we don't necessarily need. And then we also get a hint into the fact that, like, Anna brings up that one of the girls is a sugar baby.
Is it a sugar baby or she said, like, an escort? She was like, she entertains men.
Oh, maybe it's that then. I thought at one point someone said sugar.
I heard everyone saying sugar baby.
So maybe
that's like what she actually is.
Yeah.
And Anna was just like.
Yeah. And I wonder if it's one of the old or new girls. You know, is it one of the girls that has been there?
I assumed it was a new girl.
I did too, because why would she just be bringing it up now?
That's true.
Maybe, I don't know.
That would be a plot twist.
Yeah, so.
Who do you think the sugar baby would be?
I don't even know all their names.
I just know, like, Victoria.
Definitely not Victoria.
I feel like I was going to say Kit, but only because I know her name.
I don't think it's Kit either, because her family is, like, loaded regardless.
Yeah, that's true. So I feel like, do you have anyone that you like?
No.
I mean, not a favorite, but at least.
No, like, compared to last week, there's no change.
Really?
Like, Serena, yeah, like, sure, but I feel like I really don't know the girls much more than I did last week.
I can, like, think of people's faces that whenever it shows them, I'm like, oh, they seem nice, they seem normal, but I don't know their names.
Yeah, and, like, I liked Katie this week. Do I think she's going to win it all? No.
And I feel like she had a good moment this week, but I could still see her, like, being a little bizarre in the coming weeks.
Yeah, so I guess, like, we keep on being like, oh, we'll choose. Like, I really don't know.
Yeah, maybe in, like, 2 weeks we'll have some.
I mean, because next week looks like a lot of drama again and not a whole lot of dates.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and there's, like, so many girls left, too. There's, like, 20-something. There's about to be 5 more. How am I supposed to keep track of that?
And honestly, Matt needs to step it up. I'm not impressed with Matt.
No. Maybe he has a breakthrough moment, but, like, right now, I'm like, I know literally nothing about you.
He's not, like, I feel like he's not in it. Like, emotionally, maybe he's in it. But, like, he's not really giving anything. He's just, like, listening and, like.
I mean, like, I've heard a lot about, like, this week was, like, a real telltale sign that he has never been on the show before. Because if you're, like, a contestant on it, like, you would know that if the lead goes and hangs out with someone else, like, that hurts.
It looks bad.
It looks bad. So, like, then them being a lead, they would be like, okay, I'm not going to do that, you know? So I think it's just, like, he has to, like, navigate through it, which in some places it's refreshing, and in some places I'm like, you shouldn't be doing that. You get what I'm saying? Like, in some places I'm like, oh, it's good that you don't know the rules.
Yeah, definitely.
And in others, I'm like, you should, like, know what you're doing here, you know?
Yeah, like, you should know that if you go lay in Sarah's bed with her while you're supposed to be with Serena, it's, like, not a great look.
Yeah, exactly, so.
But we'll see. Maybe, next week is going to be drama-filled, but maybe in 2 weeks we'll have a normal date.
I would hope, and maybe I can learn something more about Matt.
Yeah,
We'll
maybe
see that.
you'll know one of the girls' names by then.
And on that note, see you next week.
Thanks for listening.